Hi, today we're going to talk about the components of research writing. By the end of this recorded lesson, students should have a clear understanding about the difference between an open-ended question versus a closed question. Students should also understand what constitutes a thesis statement, and students should understand how topic sentences and supporting evidence need to link back to the thesis statement. In addition to that, students should also have a clearer understanding of guided research part 5. So with that, let's begin. The first thing that we're going to be looking at is the research question. And this is just the question that you're going to answer in your research essay. In this case, it's going to be your research outline. Essentially, the outline is the bare bones to what a paper would be if you were actually assigned a formal paper. A research question should consider your own ideas as well as the new ideas you learned about a particular text or subject. In this case, you're going to want to be thinking about the 2 nonfiction articles that you chose to read and consider those topics, as well as the topics that you're learning about in To Kill a Mockingbird right now. In addition to that, you should also be thinking about your own experiences that you've had with some of the topics that you're learning about. Take all of that information and synthesize it into a question that's going to help you learn more about these topics. A research question must be open-ended, and this just means that it should be able to be answered in multiple ways. Okay, if you cannot answer your research question in more than one way, then it's not open-ended. Bottom line, if you can answer the question with a yes or no response, or if there is a definitive answer, then it's not open-ended, okay? And we're going to take a look at some examples right now. And the examples that we look at are going to be using the text, The Most Dangerous Game. That is the short story that we read earlier on this year. The first question says, how does the topic of social class affect the way General Zaroff treats people in The Most Dangerous Game? Okay, so we're looking at the topic of social class and how it affects General Zaroff. Now, I'd like you to imagine yourself sitting in the classroom right now and think about the peer to the left of you and the peer to the right of you. Do you think you and those 2 peers on either side of you are going to come up with the exact same answer for this question? If you said no, you're correct. This question can be answered in multiple ways. All 3 of you would be having different perspectives about the topic of social class and the way it impacts General Zaroff and his treatment. Okay, you're all going to probably be using different pieces of evidence from the text to prove whatever you're saying, and you're all going to look at it from your own experiences and perspectives. So that can be answered in multiple ways. So that's an open-ended question. Number 2, what does General Zaroff hunt on Ship Trap Island? He hunts humans, right? He hunts humans. That is a definitive answer. He doesn't hunt anything else but humans. So that's a closed question. Okay? You might want to recall back when he's talking with Rainsford about some of his previous hunting experiences, he shares with Rainsford that he became bored. The hunt was no longer a challenge for him, so he had to create a new animal, and that new animal that he created was a human, because humans can reason. Okay, so again, that is an example of a closed question. Number 3, how do General Zaroff and Rainsford show courage in The Most Dangerous Game? Again, imagine yourself in a classroom setting with peers surrounding you. Do you think all of your peers would answer this question the same? If you said no, you're correct again. Somebody may say, I don't think General Zaroff showed any courage. He had that island fully supplied to help himself. He had Ivan who was there to help him, he had his dogs, and he had guns. The only thing he supplied his quarry that he chased on Ship Trap Island were with a knife and a set of moccasins. Somebody may think that General Zaroff isn't very courageous at all. On the other hand, somebody may say, I disagree with that. At the end, when Rainsford jumps off the cliff and swims back to the chateau, he surprises General Zaroff, and at that point in time, neither of the men have any resources other than their bare hands. And General Zaroff was excited to fight him then. He didn't back down. He was very courageous. So again, this is an open-ended question because it can be answered in multiple ways. Looking at number 4, who sleeps in General Zaroff's bed after the final conflict between Rainsford and Zaroff? Well, there is only one answer to that, because after that fight there was one true winner, and it was Rainsford. He slept in the bed. That has a definitive answer. Any other answer would be incorrect. Again, an open-ended question can be answered in more than one way. A closed question has a right or a wrong answer, or a yes or no. There we go. Thinking about your research question, you have to craft the thesis statement in order to answer it, okay? So your thesis statement is essentially the claim that you're creating to answer the research question in your outline. And I'm just using that same question we looked at on the previous slide. How does the topic of social class affect the way General Zaroff treats people in the most dangerous game? And there's 2 different thesis statements here. Both work. One is just a little more specific than the other. The first one is, Richard Connell exposes how social class shaped perspectives in the 1920s through General Zaroff's character in The Most Dangerous Game. Does that answer my question? How does the topic of social class affect the way General Zaroff treats people in The Most Dangerous Game? Well, sure it does. It says, Richard Connell exposes how social class shaped perspectives in the 1920s, and it looks like it's going to be proven through General Zaroff's character. So yes, it does answer the question. Looking at the second option, which is a little bit more specific, it says, through General Zaroff's language and behavior, Richard Connell illustrates the brutal effects of classism during the 1920s in his work, The Most Dangerous Game. Again, looking back to that question, how does the topic of social class affect the way General Zaroff treats people? Well, we know, again, we're going to be learning about this through General Zaroff's character. However, we're going to be examining language and behavior. And here we're going to see the brutal effects of classism. Okay, both work. One is just a little more specific. So let's move on. Whoops, sorry about that. Let me get back. This slide here just has some templates for you. You're welcome to use these templates if you're struggling to come up with a thesis statement. However, you must remember that your research question has to match the template. So if you've already crafted a question and then just want to come and use one of these templates, it may not work for you. You, however, can tweak it. You can tweak it, and of course, the blanks are meant for you to fill it in with your own topics and words. So you definitely can tweak it. If you're struggling with a question, you may want to look at these templates, these thesis statement templates, to sort of spark some ideas for you in creating the question. Okay? So if you need these, they're there and available to you. Okay, and now we're going to be looking at your thesis statement. Essentially, it is an umbrella to your paper. So whatever you say in that thesis statement needs to be covered in the body portion of your paper. It's like the roadmap of your paper. Okay, in this case, it's the roadmap to your outline. Again, looking at that same thesis statement, Richard Connell exposes how social class shaped perspectives in the 1920s through General Zaroff's character in The Most Dangerous Game. Let's take a look at the first topic sentence and see where it links back. General Zaroff and Rainsford are both men who live privileged lives. I have this in red because I know that privileged lives ties back to social class. Social class just refers to like social mobility in a particular place or community. Okay, and they've led privileged lives. That tells the reader that they've had some opportunities that not everybody has had. However, once Rainsford reaches Shiptrap Island, his social rank is that of an animal. So Let's think of that visual of a ladder like we've talked about in class, and each rung of the ladder represents a particular group of people. In this case, we've already talked about To Kill a Mockingbird, and we know that Atticus Finch and his family are on the top rung of the ladder. However, the Ewell family would be on one of the bottom rungs. Now let's think about this. Let's apply this to The Most Dangerous Game. Rainsford and General Zaroff would be on one of the top rungs of the ladder. However, once Rainsford reaches Ship Trap Island, his social rank is that of an animal. Humans rank over animals. Okay, so that ties definitely back to our thesis statement. Let's take a look at our second topic sentence. General Zaroff's hunting addiction is supplied by sailors from various parts of the world, which he captures and describes as scum. Okay, so I have scum in this bold pink color here because that is showing that General Zaroff believes that the sailors that he captures from different parts of the world are inferior to him. They're below him, which again does support social class. Okay? So hopefully you can see how these two examples of these topic sentences do tie back to the thesis statement. Alrighty, so now we're looking at the thesis statement, topic sentence, which we've already talked about both. Let's look at evidence and see how that ties back to everything, okay? So we're looking at social class. Overall, that's our topic. We see how it ties from the first topic sentence. Let's look at the evidence now. How does this evidence tie back to the topic sentence? I refuse to believe that so modern and civilized a young man as you seem to be harbors romantic ideas about the value of human life, said Zaroff. Okay, so here Zaroff is telling Rainsford that his ideas about the value of human life are romantic. Like he's romanticizing the value of human life. And this is happening because during this time, Rainsford is in disbelief that Zaroff would actually want to hunt a human. They're humans. Okay, and Rainsford just sort of scoffs at that idea, and he's like, oh, your ideas are so romantic. Okay, so he's like belittling what Rainsford is saying. Okay, so if you look back up where we're talking about social rank, this definitely ties back to it because Zaroff is telling Rainsford, yeah, your ideas, they're no good. I can't believe that you'd actually think about the value of human life. Okay, let's look at our next piece of evidence. Zaroff ruthlessly says, the weak of the world were put here to give the strong pleasure. Ooh, we can definitely see social hierarchy right there. Strong versus weak. I hunt the scum of the earth. There's that word scum. They're inferior. People he hunts. And then he goes along and he compares the people that he hunts to a horse or a hound. Okay, saying that actually a horse or a hound is worth more than a score of them. Okay, so he's comparing them to animals, thoroughbred animals, and he's saying that, yeah, actually a horse or a hound is better off than the humans that I hunt. Definitely see the connection with social class and social mobility here. Okay, hopefully you're able to see the connection between thesis statement, topic sentence, and then of course how the evidence ties back to the topic sentence and how the two pieces of evidence here also tie back to the thesis. I know I'm going a bit fast, but I only have 15 minutes and I really want to try to make this into one video, okay? And then your concluding sentence, your clincher class. Really, that last sentence needs to let the reader know why your message is important. It shows the reader like why this should still matter to them today. And in this case, my clincher statement example is the most dangerous game is a cautionary tale of the destruction that occurs when people choose to value social status over human life. And it's certainly illustrated in the most dangerous game. Moving on to our last slide here.